They won't offer tax incentives just because you're going to do that, but if you are located in certain parts of the city, you qualify for tax breaks because you're in these areas that are zoned. They're called PDR, production, distribution and repair. And the city have set aside certain buildings and areas that can never be inhabited by officers for general office space. Otherwise, you know, every landlord would give up their business to the next Twitter and there wouldn't be any factories. So you do actually get tax breaks just by virtue of being in those districts.
Mackenzie,
Oh, yeah.
question? This is the right time.
Well, I actually got a good resource just by you saying going to your site, because I came here kind of looking to make connections on manufacturing and because on handbags actually, when you said that there was a lack of the leather kind of work, that's kind of more where I want to go, because I have a lot of manufacturing connections in New York, but I would actually really like to make them here.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I'm here, is to kind of meet people and see where to go next.
There's one leather factory. I know it depends what kind of bag it is, obviously. There's actually a couple, but they're very picky about what they're going to do and how complex the bag is. It's not an easy one, but if you contact me, I will point you to the ones that we do have. Yeah.
I've never been on your website, but how does one come across to choose different designers? Are they showcased what they offer? If I want to carry them and I have a fashion truck and I'm local and I want to carry San Francisco designers and showcase work.
So they're just all listed on the website with links to their website. Okay. But we are actually right in the process of doing a consumer product guide, which gives you more information and more pictures on the products, because we keep getting approached by retailers and organisations and corporations that want to buy SFMade, and we as a non-profit can't choose one over the other. So we are putting together a more in-depth guide of, you know, where else they sell, how long they've been in business, so it gives them more to go from. But right now you just have to go to the website. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Question. I know that, thanks, Leslie, by the way. I know that a lot of times an issue that comes up with running production, especially in a small, small landscape-based town, is textiles. Sourcing textiles. A lot of mills have closed in the U.S. I know that, and a lot of companies have moved offshore just because of textiles and finishing capabilities of contractors overseas. Is that something that SFMade has delved into at all? Trying to regain textiles here in San Francisco?
I mean, that's just a really hard thing to do. And that's a really good question, because when people say, what does it mean to be SFMade? There are components coming from all over the world. I mean, there's coffee roasteries, the coffee's coming from South America, there's tailor stitches, stuff's coming from Japan, their fabric. It's just, where is the final assembly? It's called the final assembly, basically. The transformation, essential transformation has to happen here. But fabric sourcing, I mean, I have a fabric rep that I send everybody to. She knows everything locally, nationally, internationally, and people just have to source it from where they can get it.
Yeah. And I think that's great that you actually have a contact with the fabric.
Yeah, and she's fantastic.
Is that Ivy?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she knows,
Yes.
She really does know her stuff. Yeah.
Scott, any question?
She's answering most of the ones I've been asking. I have a question.
Okay.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
My name's Stephen from San Francisco Hat Company, and it's sort of a gut punch to hear about the
labor, growing older, our Kaiser bill has just been going up for years, and I just sort of thought of it as us. Didn't realize what was happening to the whole industry. Is that the same demographic in Los Angeles, for
It's
example?
not the same at all.
Because there you have Central American,
LA's
Latin,
a lot more, there's a lot more Latinos in there.
and so younger people are coming
And
in.
much more integrated. So in LA, for example, you will find Chinese-owned factories that have a large Latino workforce. You just don't find that here. There's absolutely no crossover. And it's fascinating. And that's one of the things that we've been talking about, how there are definitely people who want jobs, who would be willing to train and do that kind of work. It's just, language is an issue, obviously, the language barriers. But at, LA, they've been able to manage it. I went to visit the American Apparel factory a couple of weeks ago. And there are 5,000 people working in this factory. It was just mind-boggling. And you looked on the factory floor, and there was like 29 languages being spoken in this facility. It was every ethnic group. There was a lot of different age groups. It was very, very different in San Francisco. And I went to learn about this. I said, what is your secret? How are you getting all these people to integrate? And so, we're really trying to pick away at that, because it's just not sustainable unless we get something different happening.
I sort of saw as things got worse, it was like shoes dropping, and one day found out we couldn't get thread in one day from San Francisco, and they moved, to LA, and now the thread seems sometimes to be coming from Mexico for coats, and I said, well, that's in Georgia, or that's in Mexico,
it's
and
all
I'm thinking,
moving
now we're a week away from thread.
Yeah.
And then it was the sewing machine doctors, because Ron had stole a sewing machine exchange when they closed. It was associated, but you couldn't find someone would have to come from San Francisco all the way. We're in San Leandro. So we've got a guy who moonlights from a different factory, who works all night long fixing the machines at night, and then he comes to our place just totally asleep. He kind of works a few hours in the morning when he has something to do. But those are the infrastructure things that kind of need to be. Maybe you can keep an eye out for just where the sewing machine repair. I don't know if you do that.
No, but
If that falls apart, you don't have the factory.
no, it's true. There's a lot of moving parts.
And kids, you don't start sewing unless you also took a sewing class and,
Right.
did that young, so.
True.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So many questions for you.
Okay.
But no, I'll start with one because I own a local brand.
Okay.
It takes quite a bit of pride in being a San Francisco brand. And we started making shoes. That was our first product, and could not find a factory here to do them, which was, a frustrating thing. I wish I had known about SFMade when I started it. Ended up having to go overseas and are manufacturing our shoes in China. Since then, have launched a line of bags and now watches, and because of supply chain efficiencies, have continued to manufacture overseas and hate every minute of it. And I, as I'm going to speak about tonight, I'm an attorney to fashion designers and help them build their brands. And the first thing I tell them is, produce locally if you can. And so I certainly understand the value of it. And in a position now where I'm so excited to see you here, because I'm dying to move as much of my production as I can back into San Francisco. But have wondered at times, and I guess this is the question, if I'm not currently manufacturing here, can I become a member of SFMade or somehow benefit from what it sounds like you have the resources that could help me do that?
Yeah. So you can't be a member. To be a member of SFMade, you have to be headquartered in San Francisco, making your product in San Francisco, and it has to be for sale. So you can't be pre-sale.
Right.
But you can participate in everything other than You just can't be a member and use the brand.
Right.
So if you want us to help you move your production
That's what I
back,
mean.
that's exactly what we're here to do.
Perfect. You just
Yeah.
got yourself a new client then.
So you cannot be a member if it's pre-sale?
Yeah, so it has to be.
Like if it's being manufactured and pre-ordered, will that qualify?
No, it has to be for sale somewhere, because once it's on the website, we just want it to drive traffic and to have it be go here to find where you can buy local made products. Yeah.
I have maybe a follow-up question that's kind of interesting on that topic. As Owen mentioned before, and one of the other hats I wear is managing the relationship between SFMade and Indiegogo, which is a crowdfunding site. So there could be a very interesting situations where a company has products for sale that are not made yet, because they're using crowdfunding as a way of pre-selling
Right.
to raise the money in order
Right.
to produce.
Right.
And would they be able to? It might just be an interesting thing to look into.
Yeah, possibly.
Because I imagine it could be a benefit
Yeah.
to that company
Yeah.
to raise money to say, I pledge to make everything here. I am
Yeah.
SFMade.
As long as they reach their final goal and we're
Yeah.
able to do it, I mean, it's possible, yeah.
Anyone else? Questions?
What about international campaigns to bring the SFMade brand to other countries? Have you done any yet, or are you organized to do that?
We've not quite got there yet. We actually helped to launch Copenhagen Made. They came to visit us.
But what about,
I know.
selling SFMade in a...
We haven't done that yet. Actually, somebody came from Japan a couple of weeks ago and was interested in trying to figure out a way to get SFMade brands into Japan. We've also thought about the Chinese market. But
So would the production be able to keep up with the demand if there was a lot of times, I work in East Asia, so I know that particularly in, I think, Tokyo, Seoul, and
Yeah.
Shanghai, if something starts
Right.
trending,
yeah,
it's,
then we
you know,
have to be able to keep up.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no.
pretty much an overnight
Yeah.
success. So,
Yeah.
and at the same time, people in those cities have an affinity for San
Right,
Francisco. It's relatively
absolutely.
close.
Yeah.
It's a very friendly city. They love
Yeah.
it. It's beautiful. So I think
We're definitely, that's on our mind, is how do we then now get into international markets? And a lot of our companies do export,
Okay.
probably 25% of them. And this mayor is really interested in helping to promote SFMade products around the world, and especially, there's a China SF initiative.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, but it's actually a bit daunting to some of the smaller companies who aren't doing it yet, because they're like, oh my God, it's this great big thing.
But could SFMade somehow organize to facilitate that?
Well, yes.
I'm trying to figure out if I should introduce you
Yeah,
to
well,
the mayor.
the thing is, we need
Yeah.
we need like a middle person to facilitate
Okay.
all of that. So yes,
Yeah.
I mean,
I have another one.
we've certainly been thinking about that, but
Okay.
it's how do you manage it all?
Yeah.
And who are your partners in these countries? And who's distributing it?
Yeah. Well, we could be a good partner.
We have our main sponsor for the whole week is Style Tag, actually a product of SK.com. Is that right? SK.com?
SK Planet.
SK Planet, one of the largest tech giants out there.
I'll give him my card.
Okay. But yeah, I think we're really interested in
Okay,
working
good.
with I know part of the reason why Style Tag is here is because Style Tag really believes that, San Francisco is really the future next big space for fashion. And part of that SFMade initiative is I think building on, the potential. I mean, you look at other areas in the United States, I think there's definitely more energy and more movement
Yeah.
here. And I think we recognize that, and we want to be part of that and support. Even though we have a subsidiary in the United States. We're based in Korea, but I think we're interested in
Yeah.
our corporate culture is very much about supporting community growth. So I think that would be
Cool.
yeah.
I wanted to ask, I understand that SFMade is really about creating the infrastructure so that way we can have a garment industry that's vibrant. But especially in an economic situation that we're currently in, is SFMade beyond the maps looking to create a sense of urgency for consumers? Because I'm not a designer, I'm just here to support and get information for, you know, my friends that are designers. I'm a heavy consumer. And I love fashion. Is SFMade going to be more involved in creating that sense of urgency? Because I would love to buy SFMade products, but realistically, when a company that has a lot of money to put things on super sale versus an SFMade, you know, whatnot, you know, is there that sense of urgency?
Well,
for
I
the
mean, it's
consumers?
just consumer awareness, and it's a choice that people make. I mean, things are definitely more expensive. It's really expensive to do business here. But the good news is, you know, we live in a very educated city. People are conscientious consumers and they have disposable income. So, you know, we've had so much press. That's the best thing we could possibly get is press. And every time we get press, we say, you know, when you make your next purchase, go to the SFMade website, look at what's being made locally. People are just blown away when they realise how much stuff is still made here. And they're like, oh, that brand's made here. I mean, I think we've done a tremendous job over the last couple of years. And one of the things we do is we do SFMade Week. We did it for the second time this year, and it's a week long of activities, and it's all about educating the consumer. It's about taking people on factory tours so that they can see meet the makers. We have a big event at one of our manufacturing spaces. We had a shop local day this year for the first time, which is exactly to your point. And most of the retailers on the map donated 10% of their sales the Saturday of SFMade Week to SFMade. So they all got tremendous publicity. We said these stores are carrying SFMade. If you can't go this Saturday, you know, you can go any other Saturday. And by the way, these are all the SFMade companies. Check out the website. But the app is going to be a huge thing, which is in development. You know, we're doing everything we can to create retail partnerships where they'll pick up SFMade products. So, you know, there's three staff people at SFMade and 2 part-time. I mean, what we've done with such a tiny staff is quite, you know, I don't know that we could have done much more. And that is very much in our science of consumer awareness. So, and I'm all ears. If anybody has ideas of how we could be doing it better, please let me know. You know,
Thank you.
yeah.
You know, we're in San Leandro.
Okay.
And I had a conversation, I don't know if it was you, probably about a year ago, with someone about, we sort of think of ourselves as a borough of San Francisco. What I try to explain where San Leandro is to someone
I know
in New
exactly
York.
where you are.
And in New York, you know, that's New York
Right,
too, and that
right.
counts. And San Francisco, as regards this production issue,
Right.
you know, you will need to access the factories out and around. And there's
Right.
a lot of fashion. Like in San Leandro, there's one of the biggest eyeglass case companies in the country. There's wetsuit makers. There's,
Yeah.
So we used to have 400 people at North Face in
Right.
Berkeley.
Right.
So, you know, maybe at some point it could be expanded a little, you know, some content percentage coming from the outside of San Francisco Bay. I'm sure you've had
We
this.
totally have this conversation many times, and I know we don't want, the thing that we say to everybody is, you know, anybody who's a manufacturer can come to any of our educational workshops, can have consulting, can participate in almost everything. It's just that you can't use the brand.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can come to networking events and really learn about how to be a successful manufacturer. So that's kind of where we are, but we just had to keep it really precise. And that's how we've been able to do so well, so quickly. It's been super focused on one on the geographic area. More questions?
You guys, you look like you have a question.
So you're, so the company I work for is based in South San Francisco.
Okay.
And there's a niche of our brand that there is some interest to move our manufacturing to a local venue.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to understand then, if we did find a vendor, manufacturer in San Francisco, because our company is based in South San Francisco, we wouldn't be able.
Right now, you wouldn't qualify because
Okay.
you're not headquartered in San Francisco. However, we're thinking at the end of the year of broadening it out, where if your product's made in the city and you're not headquartered in the city, that we might allow Bay Area people to be members of SFMade. But just imagine, I get calls from all over the country. If somebody in Milwaukee's making the stuff in San Francisco, it's going to be a bit odd if then they have an SFMade logo. So we got to really think this through. Is it just Greater Bay Area? But we're definitely getting a lot of these requests and we're trying to figure it out. But right now you wouldn't.
Okay.
I know it's awful.
No, I'm just
So-
curious how it actually works.
We're trying.
Actually, that's interesting because they could say made in San Francisco.
Right. But they just couldn't be. I mean,
San
it just
Francisco
be
made.
bizarre to have SF-made logos and things. I mean, we just got to really think this through. But we might just broaden it to the Bay Area.
That would be a
We
good
might. Yeah. Yeah.
And with the staff of 3, how are you planning to grow in the future? Because it sounds like you're going to
So we're hiring another person, and they're just going to focus on workforce. So they're going to be helping all of our companies with the hiring needs, figuring out who they need to hire, how they can work with all the local workforce agencies, what their tax incentives are. We're also creating a youth program, a youth internship program. It's called SFMade, and we're going to get young people placed in jobs and apprenticeships. So this particular person will manage all of the workforce element, which is a really important part of what we do. We have 2 part-time consultants, and we have volunteer advisors who work with in our large consulting programs. So, there's 3, and then there's 2 consultants, and there's a bunch of volunteers. But we'll have a 4th person